Begg's Banter is brought to you by Saltire Energy, who continue to lead the way in the oil industry when it comes to specialist equipment rental. By Lux Scott, a jet-class luxury vehicle company who are fast changing the face of luxury business and leisure travel in Scotland and beyond. Fowler Mackenzie, a roofing and cladding specialist formed in 2001 and who have the longest established CalCIP standing seam system in Scotland. And by HCS, a Scottish organisation focused on delivering the best IWOCS solutions, bespoke controls equipment and supporting services to the oil and gas industry. Hi everybody, a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of Begg's Banter. If you are watching for the very first time, you are more than welcome. The idea behind this show is for me to gather a number of ex-Aberdeen players over Zoom and basically discuss their time at Pittodrie. For today's brand new episode, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome to the show cult hero Willem van der Ark. Willem signed for Aberdeen in 1989. On the 18th of January to be precise, and made an immediate impact by scoring on his debut against Motherwell just 3 days later. In a 2.5-year spell with the Dons, Willem played 77 games, scoring 17 goals. He won a Skull Cup winners' medal in 1989. I was delighted to have caught up with him from his home in Holland. Hi Willem, it's fantastic to see you. How are you? It's been a long time since we last spoke, so thank you for jumping on. I would like to take you right back to the early days when you first found out that Aberdeen were interested in signing you. How did that come about?
I heard it through my manager, that's Ton van Dalen, who also advised Theo and Paul earlier this summer, and I think first time I heard they were interested, it was in November '88. And I also can remember Alex Smith came over to see me playing here in Holland.
Did you do any research on Aberdeen Football Club? Did you have to do any research to find out a little bit more about them?
In that time, Ellie, it was hard to do some research because internet was not there yet.
So what did you do? How did you find out more about Aberdeen?
I went to the library.
Did you?
Yeah, but there was not much to find. So I knew they won the European Cup. It was 86, I remember.
83, yeah.
83 it was, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that was what I knew, but not much more. And of course, I knew they were playing in the Premier Division.
So you just mentioned that Alex Smith came over to watch you. Did you actually know beforehand that he was coming to watch you, and did you change your game because of it?
No. I didn't know he was in the crowd, so I heard it later.
Okay, understood. So what happened after you first arrived in Aberdeen from Holland? Did you literally go straight from the airport to the ground? Did you sign straight away? Did you go to training straight away? What happened?
Now, it was quite weird because Ton gave me a phone on a Monday morning. And then he said, probably everything is settled now. You have a meeting on the Tuesday morning, but just bring your stuff, but probably you will make your debut on Saturday against Motherwell away. And that's what happened. So it was like being in a movie or so.
Yeah. What were your first impressions of your teammates, and when did you first meet them, Willem?
I remember meeting Roger Connor because he was the first player who learned me to play snooker.
Oh,
and
really?
I think that was on a Tuesday as well, because I think I signed a contract in a hotel or so, and I went straight away to Pittodrie. And then I met a few players.
Okay. Did you know Theo Schnelders and Paul Mason before you joined Aberdeen?
Just as players, I've never spoken to them before. I remember I played against Paul in the amateurs in Groningen.
Okay.
That's where where I was living, and Paul as well. And Paul's first club was Groningen, and my first club was Cambuur. And we have the same age, so we're starting playing professional footballs at the same age. Theo much earlier. I think Theo was 16 or so. But Paul and I were both 20 when we started playing professional football.
So you were 20 when you first started, which is quite
Yeah,
late, right?
It's quite late, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned that after you signed, you went straight into the team. You made your debut against Motherwell only 3 days after you signed, and of course you
Yeah.
scored on your debut. I'm guessing, Willem, it's a day you've never forgotten.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it all happened. It was like what I said before. It was like a movie. Only 3 days training, coming over from Holland, and then making your debut on a Saturday. But yeah, I felt really well from the first start. I met the boys, and they gave me a lot of confidence. And Alex Smith and Jockey Scott as well. So I was ready to start, and I was fit playing on the Saturday.
What were your first impressions of the game in Scotland? Did you feel the difference straight away from what you'd been used to in the Eredivisie?
Oh yes, yes. In Holland, we're more building up from behind.
Okay.
We still do that, and of course, the game is also changed in Scotland right now. But the pace was really high. I remember that. So it was a tough game, but of course, I was very proud to score my first goal.
Yeah. Did you think that helped settle you?
Of course, when you start scoring in the first game, that will help.
Yeah. See for the remainder of that season, the season that you signed, you were sort of in and out of the team. And when I look back at the players that we had, particularly the strikers, we had a very strong squad. We had some really top-notch strikers. Did you always feel that potentially you would have to be patient?
Now it's hard for me to be being patient because I wanted to play every game. But yeah, when you're not in a starting lineup, there were only 2 reserves I can remember at that time. Now there are 10 reserves on the
Yeah.
bench,
Yeah.
so there's difference. And because of that, later on, during my spell with Aberdeen, I was also sometimes not in the squad at all, and that felt really sore.
Yeah, I'll come on to that in just a moment. But I wanted to ask you about let's move forward to the 1989 Skull Cup final, because obviously you played a huge part in our success on that day. But were you disappointed that you didn't actually start the game?
Yes, I was, but on the other hand, I was lucky being in a squad, and then I thought maybe or I will come on later in the game, and that turned out really well.
Was that your first major honour?
Yes, it was. I won a prize with Cambuur, but not a prize from this level. So it was my first big honor.
Did you do an open top bus parade with Cambuur?
Yeah. No. I didn't do it with Cambuur. I did it with Aberdeen. That was great.
Can you remember that day? It must have been absolutely fantastic, right?
Can you remember it? You were a little boy. Eh? Where were you standing in town?
So where was I? So I was, let me try and work out, how old would I have been? 1989. I was 17 or 18. Can't quite remember. But I was standing in the Aberdeen terrace, and it was the first time that my parents allowed me to go to a cup final on my own. And I went down with a group.
Okay.
Yeah, I went down with a group of older lads from the village where I grew up in, and they were given strict instructions by my father that I was not allowed to have alcohol, and they had to look after me and make sure that I got home safely.
Okay, I can imagine.
A day I've never forgotten. Absolutely brilliant. Let's move on to the Scottish Cup final. Just a few months later, because in the build-up to the cup final, you played your part. You scored that unbelievable hat-trick against Partick Thistle. What do you recall of that day against Thistle?
Yeah, probably it was my best game during my period with Aberdeen, when you scored 3 goals in the Scottish Cup, and it was a terrible pitch that day, but everything went well for me that day.
Yeah, it was a
I think we
fantastic.
came two times. We came behind in that game.
Yeah, I think
I
you're
think,
right.
and then we won 2-6 or so.
Yeah, you won comfortably in the end. It was a fantastic hat-trick. The third goal in particular was a brilliant goal. But so you see I remember thinking at the time, why were you not even in the squad for the final? You know, when did Alex Smith tell you that you would not even be in the squad? Did he tell you sort of days in advance? How did that work?
No. They never told you anything days in advance.
Really?
I think it was hard for. That's what I remember a bit. It was hard for Scottish Jockey Scott and Alex Smith to mention the squad. So they did that. I think maybe early in a Saturday morning or so. And I was very disappointed. I wasn't in the squad at all.
Hmm. How do you deal with disappointments like that, Willem? Do you just? I've always been interested to know from an emotional point of view. How do you deal with it?
Um, it was of course hard at that time, but um, there are many difficult moments in your career, but you have to accept it. And maybe that was one of my strongest points. So my
Hmm.
mentality,
Hmm.
and that helped me a lot through the career.
See, after the game, the guys that were not involved in the squad, do you still go down into the dressing room and congratulate the boys, or do you wait
Yes,
until? Yeah, you do, and you did all
yes,
that, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
that's what
understood.
we did.
Yeah, okay. See, at the start of the next season, you suffered what was a really frustrating injury. How did that injury come about? Because it put you out for, I think it was about 8 months.
Yeah, of a sudden I had pain in both my groins,
Okay.
and nobody knew what was happened, neither myself. And we tried it with physiotherapy first for a few months, but it didn't help. So I had to. I went to Belgium to Dr. Martens for a surgery,
Ah.
and after that it improved a lot, and then I recovered.
Okay, okay. Because at this time, Aberdeen had signed Charlie Nicholas as well. Sorry, I beg your pardon. They'd signed Hans Heelhuis.
Hans Gilhuis, yeah, Hans
Yeah,
Gilhuis, yeah.
did you know they were signing Hans Heelhuis before? No.
Not before. Then it was of course for everybody a surprise, but as we all know, Paul was a quality player.
Mm,
Of
yeah,
Hans.
yeah. Did you play against Hans Heelhuis before?
Yes, I played against him when he played for PSV Eindhoven, and I played for Willem too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See, during that time when you come back and you don't get as much game time as you're hoping for. How do you stay mentally strong? You said that you are mentally strong, but how do you do that, Willem, when you know that you're not going to play?
It was not that I was not playing for a long period, so I was in and out of the team. And Alex Smith always told me I was an important player.
Hmm.
So that helps your confidence for the rest of the competition.
Hmm. Were you the type of guy that would go in when you knew you weren't going to play? Did you ever go and knock on his door and ask why you weren't playing?
No, no, I
No,
never did that. No, I
really.
never did that. And I think that's not really normal in Scotland either. So I just accepted it, and just went on doing my best in training. And of course, when I came on as a sub,
Hmm.
because sometimes you can be important coming on as a sub as well.
Mm. When did you start to think that maybe it was time to move on from Aberdeen because you weren't getting the game time that you were hoping for?
Now, I signed a contract for 2.5 years, so I came in January '89, and
Yeah.
then my contract was up during the summer in '91, and there was some interest from clubs from Holland again, and also from Turkey.
Okay.
But I also had another meeting with Alec, and he wanted to give me a new contract. And in the end, I wanted to stay in Aberdeen and sign a new contract for 2 years. But then, as we all know, I left a half year later in January '92.
Mm. Okay, so why did you decide to make the decision to leave, and was it a difficult decision to make?
No, at that time it wasn't a difficult decision anymore, because I was thinking about it for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months already. Maybe it's better to move on, because I wanted to play every week.
Mm. Did you at that time? Did you have family with you? Did you have like a girlfriend or your wife? Did you have
Yeah,
family
we
with
were
you?
there. We were there together, and when we arrived together and left together, of course.
Ah, okay, okay. So obviously, because a lot of people don't understand that you've got to take your family into consideration as well when you make these decisions. So did you make that decision together, or did you just decide to make it on your own because you knew what it meant for your career?
That's right. I knew what it meant for my career, so it was also for Yolanda. It was no problem to move on, and I went back to Holland. It also could have been another country or so,
Yeah.
no bother. But we went back to Holland.
Okay. Obviously, you still come back. You come back quite frequently to play in charity games and help raise money for local charities. How much do you enjoy coming back and meeting up with some of your old teammates and just having fun again?
I think first time I came back for charity, it was about 7 or 8 years ago, and then I met Paul and Theo again, and it was really great to come over and meet my teammates from that period, and but also a lot of supporters. And it's I think it's a little bit strange, but they still know you and they know all the stories. Sometimes they know more than than I can remember, so that's funny.
You see, that's where it's really interesting, because this is the question I'd like to finish off with. Because you are still held in the highest regard by the Aberdeen support, you have become what we call a cult hero because of your style of play, because of obviously your height and what you achieved at the football club. You did become a cult hero. So how does that make you feel?
I think I'm honored being a cult hero from that time, and they still see me as a cult hero. So I enjoyed my time playing for Aberdeen and living in the country. I've only good memories. So, but there are ups and downs in your career, but yeah, I still remember the ups.
Yeah, brilliant. Willem, thank you so much for jumping on. It's been absolutely brilliant catching up with you as always. I really appreciate your time.
No bother at all.
No bother. See you, Willem. Bye bye.
Bye bye then.
Bye bye. My thanks to Willem van der Ark. If you enjoyed today's watch and you haven't already done so, I would be absolutely thrilled if you wouldn't mind considering subscribing to Ali Begg ABTV as we continue to build the network, build the channel, and see where we can go in the year 2023. Also, if you enjoyed today's watch, I'd be very grateful if you wouldn't mind clicking that old like button. It just helps with the YouTube algorithm and it starts to bump the content that we're making here further up the YouTube network, let's say. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd be very grateful for that. Okay, guys, we are all done. I really hope you enjoyed today's watch, and we will be back very soon for more editions of Begg's Banter, where I talk to ex-Aberdeen players about their time at Pittodrie. Take care. See you soon.